Many of us take employment opportunities for granted, and if we're lucky, we end up with a job we love. But are those opportunities available to everyone? Recent figures show that around 80% of non-disabled people are in employment. Compare that with disabled people at 45%, and we can see there's a huge employment gap between the two groups.
A lot of people, when they see disabled people, they look at the disability. They don't look at the person behind them. The reason I think there's such a gap is purely about perception and understanding of the disabilities. They obviously want a job.
Well, I'm Neil Robinson. I'm a work coach in Bournemouth Job Centre, working predominantly with disabled people. In my day-to-day work in the Job Centre, I speak to disabled people all day, every day, who are desperate to work and who want to work.
That I didn't want to sit on the sofa and rot away all day watching daytime TV. I wanted a job for myself.
I really do want to work, and there's no real reason why I shouldn't. Yes, I have a vision impairment, but I would not allow that to hold me back in anything I do.
So if people want to work, what's stopping them?
It's quite obvious I got the disability, and a lot of people seem a bit deterred by that when they're offering you employment.
You just don't know if an employer will understand or be scared or intimidated by what you say.
Do I have to tell them that I suffer? What would they do? Would they help, or would they not employ me?
Recognising these issues and committed to halving the employment gap, the government launched a campaign called Disability Confident.
Well, this is a fantastic and incredibly important campaign. It was launched just over 2 years ago, personally by the Prime Minister. And it's all about giving businesses of all sizes, but particularly those small and medium-sized businesses, the confidence to offer opportunities to individuals with disabilities. You don't just suddenly go and do this on your own. There's the different work programme providers, the local charities and organisations, social enterprises, various different groups who are working with those either with long-term health conditions or with disabilities, trying to create opportunities in the workplace.
All our services and activities.
I'm Petra Kennedy. I'm the Employment and Training Manager at MTIB. We're a charity which supports disabled people into work. There's a big untapped resource. Disabled people, just because they're disabled doesn't mean that there's a range of things they can't do. It's just they have some barriers.
All barriers can be overcome with reasonable adjustments. It's just being creative and finding a way of overcoming those barriers.
At that point that I started to see the absolute barriers.
There's a lot of myths that tend to be rolling around there with regards to disabled people. Employers think there's going to be a huge amount with regards to costs for reasonable adjustments, but we've got access to work, which will cover that. There's the myth that a disabled person's always going to be off sick, high level of absence, which is absolutely disproved. And then there's this piece there which a lot of employers know with regards to labour turnover. The disabled person is going to be in a job for a longer period of time with regards to other people in work.
So, do disabled workers have more time off? No. In fact, all the evidence suggests that disabled workers have less time off than non-disabled workers. And the cost? It rarely costs much more to employ a disabled person.
If there is a cost, particularly if it's an ongoing cost, that's where government schemes like Access to Work, which helps about 38,000 a year, can actually step in and cover those costs.
Access to Work is the government's flagship disability programme that helps and supports disabled people in work to overcome obstacles and barriers they may face. And it provides a discretionary grant to help employers and individuals overcome those barriers in the workplace, to help more disabled people in employment, but also to help people retain employment.
Access to work enables me to go to work every day. I can't use computers for a long period of time, so I've got a support worker who does my typing, that does the computer side thing for me. Something very, very simple, but absolutely fundamental for me to be able to do the job that I do.
We all need to become more disability confident, because there's a huge pool of talent out there in the disabled community who are desperate to work, want to work, and will be great employees.
Disability Confident is well underway, and in the early stages, a number of large employers signed up to be Disability Confident. The challenge now is to make Disability Confident just as relevant to small and medium-sized employers. To achieve that, the government has been piloting the Small Employer Offer, which is delivered through Job Centre Plus.
Small Employer Offer is a small pilot being delivered in Swansea, Bournemouth and Swindon, and offers support to small employers in developing their confidence in employing people with disabilities.
We developed a Small Employer Offer to provide employers with the right people for their vacancies and work experience opportunities.
The key elements of the Small Employer Offer are job matching, community buddies, fast-track access to work, small employer payments and working interviews. So what's job matching?
Well, job matching is job description, person specification. It works with employers to identify the jobs. It works with the job coaches, the work coaches in the job centre, identifying the candidates for that job so that that sort of recruitment process is facilitated. And if you get that job match right, they're going to be successful.
My name's Steve Richards, I own Fillers in Swindon. We've just took on 2 members of staff through the Small Employers Offer. From our point of view, it's been good that Alistair's found 2 people that fit what roles we needed to be filled.
The job matching aspect of it has made me think, yeah, I like that job. You know, it's handy for me. It's getting me back into a workforce with some people that actually I feel friendly with. I was very lucky because I had support and help from a lady called Sat at the job centre. She managed to job match very well to the description of what I needed.
When someone has been matched to a suitable opportunity, they have access to a community buddy from an independent organisation.
That transition into employment is really important, and the community buddy is there to offer as a mentor, a sort of a go-between, offering advice and guidance to both the employer and the employee in making that transition into work successful.
So this is somebody with lived experience of disability that knows the local community and is able to provide employers with kind of real kind of practical information.
So for the individual, it can be things like mentoring or support, preparing for interviews, all that kind of thing. And then for the employer, things like looking at any reasonable adjustments that might be needed within the workplace, may look at whether or not access to work is appropriate for any adaptations that need to be made to the workplace. And it also provides some ongoing support, which is good for both the employer and the employee.
Managing expectations is one of the key factors in making transition to work successful, because the employer will have expectations and sometimes assumptions of what a person can do. And if we don't manage those expectations with what the employee can actually deliver, then there's going to be a mismatch and it might not be successful. We're not the job centre, we're not the employer, and it means that those perhaps difficult questions can be asked and answered in a supportive environment for both the employer and the employee.
If an employee requires access to work, then under the Small Employer Offer, their application will be fast-tracked.
The individual will make a phone call to access to work through the normal contact centre route. If they mention to the representative they're actually working for a small employer within the areas where the programme is running, then their application will be fast-tracked straight to an access to work advisor and will bypass the allocation route, which will just speed up the process to help them get their support quicker.
And what about other costs?
The small employer payment is a small payment of £500 that is payable to the employer after an individual has worked with them for 3 months, and is made to the employer just to ensure that any additional training costs or mentoring costs that might have been incurred are covered.
One thing the Small Employer Offer does allow for is both employee and employer to try each other out in the form of a working interview.
A working interview is someone going to the workplace, working alongside real people, doing the job that they would be doing, and treating that 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks in the workplace as their extended interview. And it gives the employer the chance to see that the person, regardless of what disability they may have, will be a really great and valuable employee. And I think it also gives the person applying for the job, our customer, the chance to have a look at the job. So by a working interview, both sides of the deal get to see that it's right for them and gain confidence in the recruitment process.
One of the main benefits I found of the small employers offer was that going into the interview, Steve knew I had a disability and it wasn't going to deter him from employing me.
I would like to give people a chance before I put them in a category.
The attitude that gives myself going to the interview was great because I knew I was qualified for the job and I knew I'd be good at it, like most of the interviews I've been to. But the disability wasn't going to get in the way and it wasn't going to deter him from giving me the job. So the confidence I was able to bring into the interview was far higher than it would have been if I wasn't going there through the small employer offer.
It's an opportunity to understand and have access to the myriad of support that's available for both employers and disabled individuals.
I absolutely feel that there is a lot of support on offer that we can definitely utilise.
Yeah, I find the job centre quite supportive. There's quite a lot of services out there that employers might not know about.
I think for me the key is that one-to-one engagement, saying to each individual business, saying, look, you've got opportunities, we can help fill them and you will benefit from that and you will not do that alone.
Anything that helps break down the barriers, I'm very, very interested in.